You are a brief flicker of consciousness between two infinite darknesses. Before you were born, the universe existed for billions of years without you. After you die, it will continue for billions more. In the span of cosmic time, your life is not even a blink. It is a rounding error. And yet, here you are. You are awake. You are self-aware. You are the universe looking at itself through a pair of fragile, organic eyes. But there is a problem. The human mind is a masterpiece of evolution. A finely tuned engine designed for one primary purpose: survival. Your brain is not wired for truth. It is wired for utility. It doesn't care if a shadow is a predator or just a trick of the light. It chooses to believe it is a predator. Because if you're wrong and it is a predator, you die. If you're wrong and it's just the wind, you've lost nothing but a heartbeat of adrenaline. We call this the hyperactive agency detection device. It is the reason you see faces in the clouds. It is the reason you feel like the wind is whispering your name when you are lonely. It is the reason you are hardwired to see intent, design, and purpose in a universe physical. Accounts is indifferent to your existence. This is where the story begins. We didn't just look at the world and see trees and rivers and stars. We looked at the world and saw a mirror. We projected our own consciousness onto the landscape, and we called the reflection God. We called it the spirits. We called it the divine. We didn't invent religion because we were stupid. We invented religion because we were terrified. We were the first species that realized it was going to die, and that knowledge is a heavy burden to carry through a dark forest. Religion was the first technology. It was the first tool. More important than fire, more important than the wheel. It was the tool that allowed us to survive the crushing weight of our own insignificance. But somewhere along the way, we confused the tool for the goal. We built the temple to hold the mystery, but eventually the temple became a cage. We took the direct, terrifying, beautiful experience of faith, that raw, trembling leap into the unknown, and we hammered it into the steel of religion. We traded the wild, unpredictable storm of the spirit for the comfortable, predictable rituals of the institution. Today, we are going to tear that down. We are going to walk back through the history of human belief. We are going to strip away the dogmas, the hierarchies, and the ancient fears that dictate who you are supposed to be. We are going to find the difference between the container, that which holds the truth, and the truth itself. Because the hidden truth is not written in a book. It is not held in a building. It is the very thing you are currently experiencing right now as you listen to my voice. It is the tension between who you think you are and what you actually are. So, sit with me. Let the noise of your day fade away. Forget what you think you know about religion, about faith, about the soul. We are going to go deeper than the Sunday sermons. We are going to go deeper than the philosophical textbooks. We are going to sit in the dark, and we are going to look at the light. We have laid the foundation. You have now moved past the illusion that you are separate from the universe. We have established that the structures of religion and faith were born from the human need to survive the fear of death. We have left the wilderness. We have traded the open sky for the ceiling of the temple. Evolution gave us the instinct to see God in the lightning. But civilization gave us the mandate to control that lightning. As we began to live in larger groups, as we transitioned from nomadic tribes to stationary cities, the nature of our belief system had to change. A tribe of 50 can share a myth around a fire. A city of 50,000 requires a bureaucracy to maintain the social order. This is where the container, the structure we call religion, truly hardens. It ceases to be a personal dialogue with the unknown and becomes a public contract with the divine. And here is the psychological trap when belief becomes a contract. It requires enforcement. Think about the architecture of the ancient world. The biggest buildings were never the homes of the people. They were the homes of the gods. They were designed to make you feel small. They were built with thick, cold stone, soaring arches, and dim light. Why? Because the institution needs you to feel the weight of its authority. It needs you to believe that the truth is so heavy, so profound, that it can only be held by the hierarchy. The hidden truth here is that religion, actually this stage, becomes a technology for synchronization. It syncs the pulse of the individual to the pulse of the state. If everyone bows at the same time, if everyone recites the same words, if everyone adheres to the same set of moral taboos, the group becomes a single organism. It becomes powerful. It becomes capable of building pyramids, of waging wars, of enduring droughts. But look at the price. To keep the group synchronized, the individual must be suppressed. Your personal faith, that wild, trembling, internal question becomes a threat to the stability of the container. If you start asking, why must I bow? Or what if the lightning isn't an angry god, but just physics? You are no longer a cog in the machine. You are a source of friction. And the institution is designed to eliminate friction. We see this pattern repeated across every continent in every century. The priests, the scholars, the guardians of the gate, they tell us that the container is the only way to reach the truth. They tell us that if you step outside the wall, you are walking into chaos. But notice how they define chaos to the institution. Chaos is simply anything that is not under their control. Psychologically, this creates a profound split in the human soul. You learn to wear a mask. On the outside, you perform the rituals. You recite the creeds. You play the part of the faithful member of the collective. But on the inside, that secret, quiet, desperate part of you that still feels the lightning, you learn to hide it. You learn to treat your own experience of the divine as something dangerous, something that must be kept in the cellar of your own consciousness. This is the birth of the secret self. We are now living in a world of mirrors. We are mirroring the expectations of the collective, while the real faith, that deep, irrational, beautiful trust in the unknown is left to wither in the dark. We have convinced ourselves that we are religious, but in reality, we are just compliant. We have mistaken the maintenance of the wall for the exploration of the territory. And the tragedy is that we have become so good at maintaining the wall that we have forgotten there is a world beyond it. We stare at the stone carvings. We listen to the echo of our own chants, and we are convinced that we are experiencing the infinite. But all we are experiencing is the echo of our own voice, reflected back at us by the walls we built to keep the silence out. We have moved from the evolutionary spark to the construction of the cage. You've seen how our need for safety allowed us to be herded into institutions that promise security but often deliver confinement. The door didn't just open, it was never locked. That is the secret the guards are terrified you will discover. The wall was always made of your own fear. Now, we enter the space where the hidden truth becomes dangerous. We move from the history of institutions to the biology of the rebel. There comes a moment in the life of a human, it might be in a moment of grief, or in a moment of sudden, blinding clarity where the comfort of the container suddenly tastes like ash. You look at the rituals, you look at the creeds, you look at the collective eyes of the tribe, and you realize none of this answers the shivering in my own marrow. Søren Kierkegaard called this the leap of faith. But don't mistake that phrase for the soft, gentle religious comfort it's often used as today. This is not a leap into the arms of a loving, predictable God. This is a leap into the absolute, terrifying, glorious void of the unknown. To have faith is to accept that you might be wrong. That is the paradox. The institution demands that you be sure. It demands absolute certainty. If you are certain, you are safe. If you are safe, you are controllable. But faith is the opposite of certainty. Faith is the act of deciding that the mystery is more important than the answer. It is the courage to stand in the middle of a storm and say, I do not know what this is, but I choose to trust the energy of it anyway. The hidden truth is that the institution hates this person. The institution hates the person who has found the truth for themselves. Because that person is now unreachable. You cannot threaten them with excommunication. They have already left. You cannot bribe them with salvation. They have already realized they aren't lost. This is the birth of the mystic. Every tradition has its mystics, the Sufi whirling in the desert, the Zen monk sitting until his legs go numb, the religion hermit in the cave. They all eventually do the same thing. They desert the container. They realize that the map they were given is not the territory. The map is a static, dead thing. The territory is living, breathing, and constantly changing. But why is this so hard for us? Why do we cling to the cage even when we know it's a cage? It's because of the ego. The ego is the architect of the container. The ego loves labels. It loves I am a Christian, or I am a Buddhist, or I am an atheist. It loves the binary of right and wrong, of saved and damned, of enlightened and ignorant. The ego needs the container because without the container, the ego has no boundaries. If you take away the labels, if you take away the wall, if you take away the dogma, what happens to the you? The you dissolves. That is the hidden truth that the great religions have spent centuries trying to protect you from. They aren't trying to save your soul. They are trying to save your identity. They want to keep you as a somebody within their system. But true faith is the willingness to become a nobody. It is the surrender of the identity to the vastness of the experience. It is the realization that the thing you are looking for, the divine, the truth, the absolute, is not outside of you, waiting to be found in a book or a building. It is the source of the search itself. You are the lightning. You are the wind. You are the flickering consciousness that is, simultaneously the observer and the observed. When you realize this, the institution doesn't just look like a cage, it looks like a tragedy. You see people spending their entire lives polishing the bars, convinced that they are standing at the gate of heaven, while the gate has been standing wide open behind them the entire time. We have crossed the threshold. The cage is behind us, and we are standing in the wide open expanse of the leap. You've realized that the struggle for identity is what keeps us trapped. You have stepped out of the temple, and you are standing in the middle of the empty field. The silence is deafening, and in that silence, you feel it, the prickling on your skin, the tightening in your chest. That is not just fear. That is the biological alarm of the human brain confronting its own end. We need to talk about terror management theory, and that knowledge is a poison, that you are a biological accident in a cold, expanding, entropic universe. You would be unable to function. You would be paralyzed by existential dread. So, your brain built a defense mechanism. We call it cultural worldview, and that knowledge is a poison if you had to wake up every morning and truly process the fact that your existence is temporary, that you are a biological accident in a cold, expanding, entropic universe. You would be unable to function. You would be paralyzed by existential dread. So, your brain built a defense mechanism. We call it cultural worldview, religion, nation, philosophy, ideology. These are not just belief systems. They are psychological life rafts. They are the shields we hold up against the crushing reality of our own non-existence. When you subscribe to a religion, you are essentially purchasing a form of symbolic immortality. You are telling your brain, I am part of something that will outlive my body. I am part of the eternal. The hidden truth is that we don't believe in these systems because they are empirically true. We believe in them because they make the universe habitable. But look at what this does to the human mind. It creates a perpetual state of defensiveness. If your entire psychological stability rests on the truth of your worldview, then anyone who challenges that worldview is not just disagreeing with you, they are attacking your life raft. They are threatening to throw you into the freezing water of the void. This is why we get so angry. This is why we have wars, why we burn books, why we kill in the name of God. It is the primitive brain, the amygdala, screaming, if they are right, then I am nothing. If they are right, then all my suffering is for nothing. And this leads us to the most uncomfortable realization of all. The void is not an enemy. The terror you feel when you stand in that field, the feeling of being small, of being temporary, of being nothing, that is not a failure of your psyche. That is the most honest moment of your life. When you stop trying to manage the terror. When you stop trying to cover it up with doctrines or politics or the noise of the collective, you discover something strange. The terror turns into something else. It turns into awe. You realize that your insignificance is not a tragedy. It is your liberation. If you are not the center of the universe, then you are not responsible for holding it together. If you are not a soul that needs to be saved, you are free to simply be. You are not a somebody performing for a grand cosmic audience. You are the universe expressing itself for a short, beautiful, fleeting moment through the vessel of your life. But to reach this point, you have to do the one thing the institution forbids. You have to die before you die. You have to let the you, the ego, the identity, the carefully constructed worldview fall away. You have to walk into that void voluntarily. And the hidden truth is that when you get to the center of the void, you don't find darkness. You find the very thing you were looking for all along. We have looked into the abyss, and instead of finding non-existence, we are beginning to find a terrifying kind of freedom. We've identified that the terror of our mortality is the engine that drives us to build the cages of religion and ideology. We have stripped away the walls of the temple. We have stared into the void of our own mortality and survived. Now, we stand in the raw, unedited landscape of the human experience. If you take a seed from a tree in Ethiopia, one in Japan, and one in the heart of the Amazon, and you plant them in the right soil, they will all grow toward the light. They have different names for themselves: acacia, cherry, rubber, but their core is the same. Their hunger for the sun is the same. The world's great traditions are exactly the same. If you peel back the layers of dogma, the cultural uniforms, the specific vocabularies of sin, karma, salvation, or dharma, you find the exact same skeletal truth waiting underneath. Every serious seeker in every century has stumbled upon the same three realizations. The first is the death of the separate self. Every mystic, from the Desert Fathers to the Taoist, masters, eventually arrives at the same conclusion: the I that you spend your whole life defending is a hallucination. It is a linguistic trick. When you stop obsessively reinforcing the boundary between me and the world, you realize that the boundary was never there. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop. The second is the nature of suffering. It isn't caused by the world being wrong or sinful. It is caused by the desperate, clawing need for the world to be different than it is. We suffer because we want the river to stop flowing, or we want the autumn to last forever. When you align your will with the flow of reality, when you stop fighting the current, you don't just stop suffering, you begin to dance with it. The third is the nature of love. Not the love that is a transaction, that I will give you this if you give me that. Love. We are talking about the love that is the fundamental physics of the universe. The attraction that pulls atoms together. The empathy that makes you feel another's pain. It is the recognition that because there is no separate self, to hurt another is to hurt yourself. The hidden truth is that these three insights are not religious. They are biological and ontological facts of our existence. But religion takes these facts and turns them into rules. It says, because we are one, you must be kind. The truth says, you are the other person. So kindness is the only logical behavior. Do you see the difference? Religion is a moral code written on a stone tablet. The truth is a realization written on your heart. When you look at the history of these traditions, you see a constant, violent struggle between the experience and the institution. The institution wants to freeze the experience. They want to preserve the memory of the light in a jar so they can show it to people and charge admission. But the light is not a memory. The light is the fire, and fire cannot be kept in a jar. It must burn. This is why the mystics were always the outsiders. They were the ones who went to the mountain and came back saying, the truth is not in the scroll. They were the ones who were silenced, exiled, or martyred, because they were living proof that the container was unnecessary. We have spent 3 hours talking about religion and faith, but notice something. We are finally talking about reality. We have stopped talking about what we are supposed to believe, and we have started talking about what we are actually experiencing. And that realization is the beginning of a different kind of life. It's the life of the person who knows the map, but has decided to burn it, because they have finally realized that the territory is exactly where their feet are standing. We have distilled the complex, often conflicting histories of humanity into a single, shared core of truth. You've seen that. The hidden truth is that all the great traditions are actually describing the same underlying reality of interconnectedness, even if they used different languages to hide it. Where we discuss how to walk back into the world as a person who has seen the fire, and how to live your life without needing a map. We are coming to the end of our journey. We started in the dark, wondering why we feel like strangers in this world. We walked through the history of our own evolution. We dismantled the stone walls of the temples we built for ourselves. And we stared into the abyss of our own mortality until the terror turned into light. Now, we have to do the hardest thing of all. We have to go back. We have to walk back into the container, into the world of jobs and politics and family and the noise of a modern, frantic society, but we go back as different people. We go back with a secret. The hidden truth is not that you should abandon the world. It is that you should abandon the illusion that the world is separate from the divine. You don't need to quit your life to live a life of faith. You don't need to move to a mountain or join a monastery. In fact, doing so is often just another way of building a new container. The ultimate realization is that the desk where you work, the street where you walk, and the conflict you face in your daily life, these are not distractions from the truth. They are the truth. This is the synthesis. Living without the container means you can participate in a tradition. You can appreciate the beauty of a ritual. And you can respect the history of your culture, all while knowing that none of it is the ultimate reality. You are no longer a servant to the institution. You are a participant in the mystery. When you see a church, a mosque, or a temple, you don't see a boundary between saved and lost. You see a piece of art, an attempt by fellow travelers to capture a feeling that is, by definition, uncapturable. You treat it with the same reverence you would show a painting or a poem. It is a finger pointing at the moon. And now, you are finally looking at the moon. So, how do you live this? It begins with radical presence. Most of our life is spent living in the container of the future hour, or the container of the past hour regrets. To live without the container is to be fully, devastatingly present in the now. It is to realize that the divine is not something you achieve at the end of your life. It is the quality of your awareness right now. It is found in the way you listen to a friend, the way you hold a cup of coffee, the way you treat someone who disagrees with you. If you have truly seen the hidden truth, you cannot be a person of hate. You cannot be a person of judgment, because you know that the person you are judging is just a different, temporary manifestation of the same energy that is currently looking out of your own eyes. You are judging yourself. You are fighting yourself. The final synthesis is surrender. Not surrender to a set of rules, or a hierarchy, or a political party. Surrender to reality. Surrender to the flow of life, exactly as it is, without the demand that it be different. When you stop trying to force the universe into your own mental boxes, the universe begins to show you who it actually is. And it is not a judge. It is not a distant master. It is the very life force that is currently beating your heart. You have been listening for 3 hours. But the real work, the real journey, that only begins the moment you stop listening and start living. The container is a lie. The path is an illusion. The seeker is the sought. You are the universe, waking up from a dream of separation. Open your eyes. Look at the world. And remember, you are not walking toward the truth. You are standing in it. Go now and be the light that you were so desperately looking for in the dark. You have completed the 3-hour journey. We have deconstructed the history, the psychology, and the philosophy of our deepest human struggles and arrived at a place of radical individual freedom. As you reflect on this journey, is there a specific part of this synthesis, the return to daily life, the concept of radical presence, or the act of surrender that resonates most deeply with you?